It is Friday night on this February 12th. We are continuing with our streaming marathon today. It's the second time we are live today. And I want to say hello, everybody, on this Friday night. I don't want to say you don't have anything better to do now than watching this stream, but I'm really happy if you are right now watching. I'm honored and I'm doing my best to fulfill your needs on this Friday, animation wise. All right, so let's bring it down. It's Friday night, it's casual Friday. I'm trying to do this very energetic, motivating intro, but now I'm gonna switch probably to my normal voice and my normal state of mind, and I'm gonna do some animations today. The music that you were hearing in the intro is from the two musicians Bols and Knecht. They were kind enough to give me their music for this streaming. Thanks a lot. Check out their music. Very talented musicians. And check out their CD or their album. Do you call it a CD nowadays when you're, I don't know. It's an album, right? Okay. That said, let's jump into the Friday night vibes here on Started Frame 1 with Stream Lo-Fi and me, your host, on this evening session. All right, enough already. So yeah, I'm listening to a playlist that's called Stream Lo-Fi, DMCA free, created by Cooking Soul. So shout out to Cooking Soul. Thanks for this playlist that we can use during that stream to create the right mood. And to be honest, I had to make some ghost-busting coffee for the session as I wanted to give you my full attention. So here I'm all coffee, like checked up with caffeine. Enough gloves, we cannot miss Naughty Glove, our companion, daily companion in the worlds of animation, the adventures of animation. Okay, so I'm gonna continue what I started. Oh no, this earlier today. And I was hoping I have already the same I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now here because I didn't save the preset of the brush that we created. For those of you who don't know, this is experimenting on KRITA. I normally don't use that software. If you don't know it, check it out. It's completely free. And until now, I had a really good time animating with it. I normally animate with Photoshop and Adobe Animate. preferably Photoshop, as I don't really know how to really control the whole brush tools or in Animate, and I think it has to do with the vectors that drawing feels some kind of, I always describe it as cold. I don't know, it's not very organic drawing because you have a lot of corrections of the paths you draw, so I normally prefer Photoshop. But Photoshop unfortunately is only adapted to animation, where for the sake of your workflow need external script, an external script, or I use the external script animDesim. And it works. I was able to do a few very fun animations in Photoshop. But for this streaming, I found it's pretty interesting to do a complete new software from scratch to be able to recommend this kind of things to people that are completely new to a frame-by-frame animation, and ask what tools to recommend. And not everybody has Photoshop or doesn't want to use Photoshop. So when I heard about KRITA, I never tried it, and this seemed like the perfect occasion to do so. Just have to make sure we stay in that free playlist, because apparently some of my previous streams where I used as well a playlist that was named at least copyright free music for Twitch streaming, and now they are kind of in a process, as it says that there are different songs that I have to prove, or they claim that it's not in, that I cannot use this music due to copyright restrictions. We will see. It's a pity because, like, at the beginning I didn't put any music on, as I thought people may prefer to just listen to the voiceover and listen to their own music, because who the hell am I to tell you what music to listen to when you just came for animation advice? But this decision came mostly because I had no idea where I can get copyright-free music, until I googled copyright music for stream. So but I still pursue the idea of inviting musicians to, well, I don't know how to put it. I invite musicians to let me use their music. Isn't that well put? Like, but the idea behind it is like actually like mutual support. this stream is far away from being that big that I would pay anything for music so far. But even if I reach only a few people and they can listen to the music of these artists, maybe there's also kind of an advantage for the musician. Like, I'm really had that in mind, like, to help out. Well, because I really respect musicians. That's basically the reason why I came to Barcelona, because of music. I myself, I'm not a musician, but I have a lot of musician friends, and I really think as well in animation 50% definitely is sound and music, and therefore I definitely think music should be valued immensely, especially as well during, seems to me like during this time, art and culture, well, everybody suffers right now in some way. And this is probably just because I'm biased of my social media feed. But like, a lot of contacts are street musicians, and it's very tough, as they already like live day to day to get their bills paid, and now they are just screwed. So yeah. Would be awesome to have a live stream where you have like a band, like if it was a late night show or something, and if I had a band, just and the band could be actually just a guy with a electronic piano. That would be awesome. So if anybody of you feels like I'm talking to you right now, well, let's talk and make something happen here. I'd love to have a new window in the layout where we have a guy just playing music on the piano. Alright. Oh, that's... I changed the tip of my Wacom pen, as the first tip of it was quite shredded already. It was really plain. And then that was the first time I actually opened up this little thing where the different pen tips can be saved. And figured that there are different kind of pen tips. And one of them is supposed to feel more like a small... It's a soft material. So you supposedly get the feeling of a kind of a felt pen, which is true, but sometimes it makes this very ugly squeaking sounds, and I'm very sensitive to those sounds, like somebody scratching their nails on a chalkboard and I go nuts. I'm wondering, is this playlist is changing constantly? I don't really pay too much attention to the specific songs. Unless I put the same playlist today and now I repeat it. I wonder if there at some point people say, man, again this song, and somehow I feel like I haven't heard the songs we were listening right now. But as I said, I don't give it too much attention either. So, all right, Tentacle Boy. You ahead. We're doing the outline, and then afterwards we're gonna see how all the filling methods work in KRITA. Today we had a little bit of a hard time as we started off with a vector layer for the cleanup, as I found it interesting that you can draw vector and pixel in KRITA. So I thought, well, let's directly see what options you get with the vector layer. Took us a while to find actually a tool that we can draw with on those vector layers, and the problem was that the only tool that is actually usable for vector layers in KRITA, I couldn't find the option to put in the pressure sensitivity, and the design of this character feels like needs pressure sensitivity. Not the character per se, but the style of the character. This wheel is way too all right. And the next one. So yeah, I'm gonna investigate a little bit more what else, what other options there are with the vector layers in KRITA. Because the tool we used at least has the option to change the stroke width afterwards, which is pretty good. And for flexibility, like then you can start just drawing with a certain stroke width and later maybe decide you want to test a little bit of other styles, so you can tweak the width for each drawing afterwards in a fairly quickly way. But when you draw pixel based, you better make sure you get the stroke you want, because if you want to change them afterwards, like, you have to redraw everything, and that maybe unfortunate if you have a client that you're back waiting for some results. And that's the reason why my go-to tool when I do client work, frame by frame animations, I normally do my cleanup in Animate, just for those reasons, because you never know with which changes the client comes to you, and you want to make sure you're as flexible as possible to make your client happy, right? And it happens a lot. Although you always try, well, I always try to explain that we will have a style frame that's gonna define our style and later be applied to our animation, but we won't have the style on our animation until the very end, because we have to determine first movement, length, and all that stuff. But too many clients are not able to make this how would you say, they cannot imagine when you have a sketched animation how this actually gonna look with the style you showed them in a still image. So therefore it can happen that they are all fine with the animation, and then you put in the final style and then it's something they didn't expect at all. So then you have the problem. Did you communicate with your client the conditions? Like I always say, I can do whatever change you ask me to do. Once we passed a certain step, though, I can not guarantee to fulfill the project within the given time frame or the budget if you want to make amends on certain things after we passed a certain milestone. And that you want to make pretty clear, I think, because I totally understand clients. They're not the creative ones often, so you cannot expect them to really have this much imagination, as they also don't have the experience to see a still image and then imagine a whole animation with this kind of illustration. So I understand the client. I just need the client to understand as well my position, and as long as we understand each other, there shouldn't be the problem afterwards to tell them, look, we said this is the process, but for reason X we had to go a little bit off, and therefore we will have to adjust our deadline or our budget. Sounds pretty easy, I know, and I can tell you I had projects where even this communication didn't help out. But in general, it's a good recipe, I think, to handle expectations. Because if you don't get your expectations right, there's always misunderstandings. Like once you made clear what your client can expect at a certain point in the project, and he understands or she understands it, then there should be no disappointment, or your disappointment will be like controllable. But if you don't tell anything about your process and how the project is gonna be, so explaining your client, we first gonna do that, then we decide on that to finally go there, and so on. It may cause problems, as your client may have expected other things. And how can you know, and how can your client know how you work? You have to communicate it and set the right mood from beginning on, because once you're in the project and those things start to scramble, it attracts quite bad vibes. So let's see how many we're gonna have. 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and then we start to fill in the colors. And then at that point, I have no idea how this is gonna work in KRITA. And I have no idea where my drawing went. Alright. So for those of you who may not have seen other episodes of the stream, I'm doing here cleanup of an animation we started a few days back, where we actually started with some reference material of a skateboarder doing a kickflip. Yes, this is something I've never done in my life, but was some kind of requested in the comments, and I thought it's a pretty cool challenge. So I was looking for some reference material, and we were looking for like kind of key poses in the reference. And we drew those poses, but we didn't directly draw the poses with these characters. I wanted to make sure that everything looks alright and to get it right. So the first animation we actually did was a fairly realistic character, very simplified, but anatomically as realistic as my skills allow it to be. And once I had the right animation, I felt comfortable to then apply our illustrated design to the realistic animation. I'm really looking forward to finish this animation so we can start with our next animation. And yeah, I think it's always the point, at least for me. I'm not the, but I always reach a point where I get really excited about doing something new. Once you're already like quite some time in the cleanup process, I look forward to the first dirty draft of a new animation, and then as I go more and more into the draft, I feel I'm looking forward to the cleanup process, because it's a different thing. For the cleanup process, you mostly just switch off your brain and trace the animation you've done. But really the animation process is quite it's more demanding. You have to concentrate a little bit more. But in general, frame by frame animation is quite some. It's a tedious job. I have the feeling those wheels, they're gonna wiggle like hell. Look at the wheels, because I feel like they have not really consistent size. Well, you don't even really. Okay, it's not even really visible. There's also one thing that's a little bit or where you have the big advantage with vector based animation, like in Animate, or probably here as well in KRITA with the vector layers, is that you can afterwards scale the animation like you want, which is pretty cool in the type of animations I do, where always want to add some graphical elements or whatsoever, and sometimes you may want to need it a little bit bigger. And when you draw pixel-based, well, you reach your limitations very quickly. I feel like his eyes are very huge compared to the original design. What I am always wondering as I monitor the stream on YouTube and Twitch for the chat, I'm never really sure if I count as a viewer. So I don't want to put any pressure. But apparently there's one viewer in Twitch. Are you me? Or are you actually another person watching this stream? I would love to know that. And I would know that if you could just give me a sign. Number one on Twitch. Are you real? If you give me that answer, I respect afterwards that you just want to watch the stream and don't want to interact, which is totally fine. Absolutely. But you would help me to get the doubt out of my system. If I'm talking by myself. And even if I'm talking by myself, I don't mind. Okay, coffee gone cold. It's always a pain when you open a fresh bottle of sparkling water. It may be that not everybody can relate to that topic, as I figured when I left Germany that not everybody in the world likes sparkling water. Who would have thought that? So when I came to Spain, there is sparkling water, but it's not common. So I got used to, what do you call it, still water? Is it still water? Well, without the bubbles. But once in a while, I give myself a treat. A bottle of sparkling water. Which is kind of a tap on your shoulders saying, you did good. Drink that sparkling water. You deserved it. And today, it seems like I'm talking the whole day. I started off with a presentation for a project I'm working on. So I think I had a 1.5 hour presentation of the design. Then we had a 2-hour streaming session. And now we're back. I'm talking. So the sparkling water also helps to freshen up. don't know if you have seen those streams where you normally on the streams you see on the bottom for how long they've been streaming. There are those streamers. They appear to be online like for days. And I'm fascinated by that. And I'm wondering if they stream themselves how they sleep. Or if they have shifts, like after a while there comes another person continuing with the stream. Pretty interesting. Find it fascinating. I always feel like 2 hours of streaming is a good amount for me. Because, well, for now, because I feel I'm working quite concentrated on the animations, and after 2 hours of emerging completely into your animation process, you're getting kind of dull. And I don't like myself being dull. Okay. There he flies, doing his awesome kickflip. Like, this guy has style like hell. There was one thing. There's one thing I want to try. Because when he comes down, I think from what do you know, right? Of course, there's something missing. There's a whole drawing missing. So, but yeah. Let's analyze that for a moment, because I feel from this pose of the arm to this pose there's too much of a gap, and here the arm is already down there, and I think as it's only on once, I may wanna have a look at a slightly different approach and do something like oh, that's good. Like, we go the whole something like that, really exaggerated, but let's look at the animation with such a distortion in it. I don't know if you see it, like we get some kind of a smearing effect. So much better, I like that. And KRITA apparently sometimes skips frames, which I don't like. Now I saw the frame. And that's a problem with Photoshop, and that's a problem with Animate, and I really think that's a problem when you don't really can see the whole result of your animation. And I actually like the pose of the arms here, because this should be the lower side of the arm. So we can put in a few more of those suckers. We really stretch them. And we wanna... Okay. Mm-hmm. You can also see my keyboard, but with like the microphone is always in the way. Okay, bring in the suckers. There you go. Right. Okay. I think that's it for the outline. I wonder if I actually can put in an out point of my animation. Like, I have no idea how I could make this longer or shorter, or yeah, I'd like to. I know that I can define the range of replay with this technique, like marking a certain area, but I not sure what other options I get. Okay, wow, look at that. Like this is basically actually really the size of the file, megabyte, 320 megabytes. So if this is true, KRITA is really heavy stuff, and therefore I suppose it would slow down your computer quite a bit. So now I okay, here's the end, of course. Now look at that. Let's put in 40 in here. And okay. And it's really frustrating, like the drawing that I did right now with the tentacles going down only appear, now they appear, they didn't appear. So you don't actually get every drawing. And that is a bummer. Especially as I don't see with how many frames per second I actually get. Because apparently he's not doing the 24. Well, so let's call this the outline. And I'd like to have my fill layer, at least that's how I used to work. I want to have my fill color on a separate layer. So here's a bucket tool. And let's look at some of those tool options. Okay, it's not too much. Sample current layer, all layers, okay. That would mean he actually recognizes the outlines of this layer. Feathering radius, a grow selection. Maybe I wanted to have 2 pixels and a threshold. Let's see. So now I wanna get a reference. To get my colors. Let's see. I think I've seen the option to open Photoshop files. Let's see how this goes. Oh, he's working on it. Okay. There we go. It's pretty awesome that you can actually open Photoshop files with the layers. Pretty neat. So 1 point more for KRITA. So let's see if I press. Okay, look at that with the eye button, which is normally the color picker in other programs. Did I get the color? Seems so. Okay. That is pretty cool. He actually recognizes the outline. Recognizes the outlines. Makes it really fast. I like that. So maybe we can get. Let me see. I wanna see if I have a color history. That's also something I find very helpful. So okay, here I get my, what's that? F, okay. Yeah, that's the thing normally. Now look at that, I pushed the F button. Okay, I'm on the wrong layer. Fields. Is it me? Like, I have 2 different colors here. Okay, now this is something I don't like. Let's bring down the threshold. Like I would like I would like KRITA to recognize this and this colors are 2 different, and I only want to fill in this color. But still, that's pretty cool with the tool. I guess it is quite similar to other animation softwares. You can start working with it quite easily, and like with every other software, you're gonna always reach a point where you have to investigate a little bit deeper and see how the things you want to do actually work out in the specific software. Oh. So therefore, as KRITA wasn't really difficult to start, and to be fair, I haven't put a lot of effort into really investigating about the options I have in the program and so on. So I'll give it more time to see what other limitations or problems we're gonna come across. But still, for people who start with animation, this is a perfect software, and it's for free. And you can practice your skills until a point where you think that you now may want to switch over to other softwares. I always hate this when that happens, when you're already the filling process and have to switch layers and to close those small gaps. Let's try to So yeah, the fill process at least is way more practical than in Photoshop. So another point for KRITA compared with Photoshop, which for me is the direct comparison, as I don't have any experience in other animation programs that are pixel based. But if you're interested in other softwares, there is TV Paint. I've never tried it. I've seen it, but I've never tried it. But apparently it is also quite a really good professional tool. But it's not for free. But it's also pixel based for sure. I'm not sure if they have the option for vectors. I think Toon Boom has the possibility to draw pixel based or vector based. I think afterwards we're gonna add in those black heart shadows and also correct those missing things that I started to see at random frames. I just forgot to put in some lines. Happens a lot. So yeah, definitely really like that. Cool. So let's see what we have so far. Okay, I have to put in another layer. Here. Okay, looking good. Let's bring in the orange. Okay, here we to get in with the pencil tool. Oh damn it! Why was the color changed? With the K button, there's something happening with the colors, like you changed something in the color wheel. Interesting. So it seems like those suckers finally deserve their name, as they are giving me trouble. Don't let me just use the fill tool as there are apparently too many details that I have to draw over with the pen. Damn it. I was used the wrong shortcut. And the shortcut I'm used to use for the bucket tool, which is K, the letter K, somehow here means to change the brightness of the color by a fixed amount of oh. All right, happy people. See how fast we can finish this off.
Good job, Cookie Soul.
Yeah, definitely have to get in there always with the brush. Maybe I can play around with the threshold, but very, very detailed stuff here, so I don't think if threshold really would help us with this problem. But I feel like we save so much time with the bucket tool, getting in once in a while with the brush. Ain't gonna kill us, right? All right. I'm gonna be back in a second, so please stay tuned. I'll be back in a moment, alright? To just listen to the voiceover. To just And we are back. All right. So let's continue with our cleanup here. We were filling in with the bucket tool our orange areas. Afterwards, I'd like to get into the dark shadows, the black shadows. We will have to add some specular. And we get our halftones. We still have to put in our halftones for the soft shadows. I'm definitely gonna look more into KRITA hashtags and all those kind of stuff, and look for the stuff people actually do with this software. And yeah, try to reach out to some people of this pretty interesting open source community. I checked the homepage of them just to find out a little bit more. But it's a very difficult thing, I suppose, to develop such an app and then maintaining it and address all the problems that the community comes up with. So they have this process where you can report bugs, for example. But in order to actually be able to reverse the whole thing, to actually understand what causes the bug, they need all kind of information, like on what machine are you working, specific technical specs about your computer, what software you're using, what resolution the file is, and so like it's a ton of stuff that, and I get it. I only can imagine how complex such an app is, and you just have to figure out exactly the situation and what that bug is caused to really find it in this complex code. That's at least what I imagine it to be. Like, I have no idea about coding. So yeah, it feels like you have to be very, very ambitious to participate in such program, like the bug reporting, that you go through all those hoops that you obviously have to go, and I understand why you have to go there. But yeah, it felt like to actually just report a slight thing that's not working. I think I would rather work around that thing that's not working than filling out all this information, I suppose. So a lot of respect to all those people that are involved in the development and in the process of making it better and better. And I just really like the idea that you have this open source thing, and I don't know how it actually develops through the time due to the fact that it's open source, or what that exactly means in terms of a program, as I've never used an open source program. And I heard that Blender is now like having a pretty huge boost and really starts to be competitive with other softwares in the 3D industry, at least in the motion design industry, I suppose. And that's really, I find it very interesting. Like, and I imagine it that you have so much more or so much quicker response from the developers or from people that are involved in the whole software when you actually have some stuff that you would suggest could be helpful to have inside the software. And that's something that I want to know a little bit more about. And I think on the weekend, yeah, I'm gonna look a little bit deeper in that rabbit hole, KRITA. All right. We need to fix that. Where's that gap? It interrupts the workflow completely, always getting those gaps. Wrong layer. Okay, we're nearly done and we'll be able to play the animation now with 2 fill colors. I think those are the best moments, like when you have this tedious cleanup process, and I try to not watch the animation with the few frames I've done. I rather wait until I finished at least, like in this case, the fill colors, and then watch how it actually looks. Oh. And then afterwards we can add the black shadows, everything, and look how that looks. So this is pretty cool. I love that part of the process, when you just hit the button and you see like the magic happening for the first time. As those were just those still images you were drawing on, and they're slightly different, but sometimes you don't even feel how they differ from each other. But then you push the play button and you see the magic.
Of course, everybody knows the flamingo. The flamingo is a
So let's check it out.
and you can usually spot them at the salt flats of Yontil, Yonkok, or the Selenia of Saint Michiel.
Okay. That's awesome. I really like it. Where's the... All right. Once in a while you can see this weird frame I did in between. Like, let me... Oh, I cannot pause it. So now I have, okay, that's also like a bug, I would say. But oh, look at that. Now here, you don't even see that. Those, look at that. Here, everything is missing. I didn't even, didn't fill it up, but I didn't see it. But there's also like this problem with the replay that KRITA just leaves out frames, which makes it a little bit difficult. You're not able to see actually the real result. But the pose that I'm referring to is this one, because I was missing something between this frame and that frame. There was too much of a gap, and I wanted to get the distance anyways, so the impact, the physical impact is notable. So I needed that to be very quick, but I needed something like that, like let's call it a bridge from one frame to the other, as the movement was so quick. You wanna try to simulate some kind of motion blur, and the best you do this is like just really this with distortion of certain elements that would drag behind. And sometimes you don't see the frame because KRITA doesn't play it. But yeah, there it was. There it was. That I like that. I love that about frame by frame animation, like this aesthetic. The really happy with the animation. So the next thing we're gonna add are the hard shadows. Let's do the hard shadows now. And I'm gonna get them on the outline layer, as we already have complete blackness. Oh no, wait. No, let's try another one and see. Like, I don't know how many layers do we have now. We have like 5 layers. I don't know at what amount of layers KRITA starts to struggle. We will see. Okay, let's draw the black shadows here. And let's see. Now this feels like Bob Ross now. So there's a black shadow over here. This is caused basically the shadow from the torso, and that's why we get as well the black shadow over here. Theoretically, this whole area should be completely black, as this is all like the lower side of the cube. That's our torso. But I decided against that, as I felt it would take too much It would bring in, oh, well, what happened? It would bring in too much blacks, and I felt it was too dense. I don't know if this is getting too detailed and if even noticeable. Holy moly. In the final animation, those shadows of the suckers, because somehow it feels really cool, like it seems like the right thing to do. But it's also a few details that cost you time, that you probably want to save, as the rest already takes a lot of time. So now what I've done here, I think is not really correct. So I think the light source comes from behind, top, behind, so it would be lit here, and that side will have shadow, and the same would do I bring in a shadow here? Could be. I would imagine. Oh, that looks cool. We have those things to fill in. Pretty much like the pressure sensitivity now of that brush, like doing this curve on the pressure is pretty cool. I like that a lot in KRITA, that you have this. Well, I don't. I like that, and I didn't know how to control that in Photoshop, for example. There were a few things that I understood, like the scattering and stuff in the brushes, but the pressure sensitivity you could just turn on or off, I think. And I like that I have control over that in the software. Okay. This one is done. Okay, this is continued. So like this. And here we go. It's a pretty cool pose. I like that. It would work even without a skateboard. It would be like a very cool style of a walk. Like from the seeing him from the front. So as I mentioned before, I'm not really sure what we are gonna animate after this cleanup is finished, which won't be today, and I hope I'm gonna finish it until the next episode. But there are still, we're still open for suggestions what we could animate next. I was thinking like one option could be drawing faces and heads from basic geometric shapes, and just come up with a random one second. Yeah, we could have come up with a random combination of 3 geometric shapes, which is a pretty cool technique to create characters. And we could create different versions of that. Like from this combination of 3 geometric forms, you can create all kind of different characters. And that's a pretty fun thing to do. I did lately. And yeah, it's pretty fun. And then afterwards we could animate like facial expressions, which I've never done. And if you haven't done it either, well, awesome. Then it would be so awesome if then more people that would like to know about a certain topic that I haven't done either, like, then we can work it out together during the stream. That would be awesome. All right, we're still here. Okay, what? Okay, I'm gonna continue with the details here. The suckers. Gonna bring in the shadows and just want to see if this is gonna make any difference. So okay. Mhm. Alrighty. Is there anybody out there? Mm. And another one. Am I allowed to sing music of songs I don't have the copyright? Like any popular song? Am I allowed to interpret the song? Is that already enough artistic, we call it the interpretation? No idea. Okay, with the P, the F is the bucket. Please not on this layer. Wonderful. Black. I would wave like this. Will that attract people? And again, there was a little thingy that escaped us. We're now at 2 hours in. I think that's a good moment to call it a day. I'm gonna be online again on Monday, 2 p.m. Central European Time. And we're gonna finish what we started today, the cleanup. And hopefully gonna see the final animation of our kickflip tentacle boy. So thanks a lot for watching. Always consider hitting the like button if you like the content, if you like the channel, subscribe so you won't miss any spontaneous streams or whenever I go online. And I'm always really happy for suggestions for what could be animated in the next stream. And yeah, just leave me a comment, spread the word if you like the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and see you the next time. Bye bye.